Good morning, good afternoon. Raquel Redmond from Brava Art Press. How are you today? This time we have a painting project inspired on city maps. We will be looking at city maps and we will interpret these maps. It's about cities, but it's not about cities and the buildings, the people, the traffic lights, signs. It's not about that. It's about an interpretation of these maps and thinking about, reflecting about how probably the cities, the big cities today started many, many years ago when it was probably just land. And men came and divided the land into blocks. They put on roads and the cities grew and grew and grew. And today, when we look at those maps, we find very intricate, very interesting designs showing the blocks, the parks, the roads, the river crisscrossing the cities, the streams. There's a lot of things. There are a lot of things to find on those city maps. And here I have some paintings done by my students. It's about that. It's about interpreting these city maps and using color, using lines, using textures to create a beautiful painting like that, because we are going to see them in a different way. They are going to become paintings, they are going to become designs. And if you look at just simply looking at maps like that, there are a lot of things that you can find. There are winding roads, there are straight lines, there are circles, probably sport grounds, or there are irregular shapes made by parks. So there are a lot to wonder, a lot to find on these maps. And there's another one that is very, very lovely there, some black stars for the city map. So it's about using your imagination, coming from something really practical, like a street directories that were created to help people to find their way. By the way, at this point, I'd like to inform you and your teacher and mom or dad that there's a PDF lesson that is a lesson that can be printed in the Brava Art website. It has all the information needed in terms of art materials, room setup, everything you need, and also some references and where to find these maps. Here are a few things that we need to start with. We need photocopies. It's better to photocopy the maps in black and white so everybody can have 2 or 3 photocopies, A4 size photocopies of these maps, so students can make good decisions. You can find something that you really like. We need a viewfinder. The viewfinder is a piece of card here like that with a window. I'll show you how to make a viewfinder. And we need paper, A4 cartridge paper like this. And if your teacher would like to do this painting on canvas, canvas are very available and very economical these days. So if you are going to have a school show, it will be lovely to have this painting on canvas, but they look wonderful on paper too. Those that I showed you before are all painted on paper. It is also good to have some for A4 paper for you to plan. When you do art, when you engage in art, it's always good to do some drawing, some sketching, because when you do art, we think with images, we think with shapes, we think with lines, we think with colors, and that is important to have them a bit of just a piece of A4 paper per student, so you can plan your maps. Talking about painting now, the area of painting, we have different things, of course. Container with water, we have to have some water. The paint will go into these ice cube trays with paddle pop sticks. I'll show you later on how to use these paddle pop sticks. At the end of the class, the teacher will wrap it up with plastic wrap to to last for another session or a few weeks. Or also the paint can be placed in small containers with lids. We need a rag to clean fingers and some paintbrushes, a medium paintbrush, a small size paintbrush. If you are very young, you need that is called a stubby paintbrush with a short handle. And also we will need probably a bit of some corks and some foam just to print some textures I'll show you at the end. The paint that I'll use is this Chroma 2 washable. I normally use Chroma 2, but this is a better paint, a better formula. It's called Chroma 2 washable. After you have a good talk with the teacher or your mom or dad about what are you going to do, what would you like to do, it's important to get together and talk about ideas. How are you going to interpret this? How do you see that in your mind? How do you imagine all of this? There are certain things that you have to do. The first thing to do is to cut a viewfinder. A viewfinder, a piece of card is good for a viewfinder, and I'm going to pretend that I don't have a viewfinder, so I'll use a postcard. My postcard will go there, here in the middle, and the next thing I'm going to do is simply hold the card down and draw the size of the postcard like that. That is the ideal size for this project. It's a typical postcard size. Then, how do you cut this? Very simple. Scissors, cut there and cut on the lines. Don't worry about cutting the edge, because I'll show you what to do with the edge. So we go there and keep cutting and cut here, and you're going to wind up with something like that. But at this point we have some sticky tape. When we work in a classroom with 25 students, we have to have certain things ready to go. So this is a way to dispense the sticky tape already in the middle of the table, so students can just pick up the sticky tape, the masking tape in this case, and just put it there. And presto, we have the viewfinder. So this is what we need here. We need the photocopy of the map. I'll have a couple of maps, and here is my viewfinder. With the viewfinder, I'm going to find a view within the map. So shall I do this way, or that way, or this way, or shall I use my viewfinder like that? Shall I come this way? I have found a view. So this is the view that I like to work on. So my viewfinder is right on that area of the maps. What do I do next? Back to the masking tape, just a little bit of masking tape here and another bit of masking tape there, and I'm ready. I have made my selection and I'm going to work with this area of the map, and I'll see what happens. We are now getting ready to actually do the sketch to start the drawing, and then the drawing on the big paper and the painting. So this is the time to move the camera. Okay, I have here the part of the map that I have selected with the viewfinder on the top, and I have here a piece of paper, A4 paper. This is a small piece of paper, and a permanent pen, or you could probably use a biro, a black biro. So I have my map here, and I started with this line that is right there. That's the line there to establish, and by the way, it's not about copying the map exactly the way it is there. We're just looking for lines, for shapes, for interesting repetition. That is when you repeat a shape, and different the different directions that the line goes. like this line goes right up there, but there's another line here that curves that way back. There are some spots. That's the things that we're looking for. We're not going to draw or paint any names for the streets, because they are going to, at some point, they're going to stop being these maps. They're going to be your paintings that you have created using your imagination. So there we are. We have another line here, and this is going to give me a shape that goes like that, and then that line goes there and here, sort of like that, and then these lines here and here. So practically I have a design. Now that is for a reference. Now we'll transfer the drawing that we have, or the area that we have on the viewfinder here. We are going to draw what we see through here on the viewfinder into the big paper. You could do that directly from the area of the viewfinder into the big paper, or you might be able to use your design. We just did a design like this one. So if you have done this design, it's probably going to be easier for you to go from here to there than from here to there. So let's assume that we're going to use this design to draw on the big piece of paper. Young students, I think, should do that. It will be easier. So how do I copy this into that? I start right here. I just copy that line and this line. I'm using a piece of charcoal to do the drawing, the big drawing on the paper. They look like buildings, but they are not buildings. What are they? They are blocks. I think at this point I have to go to that line, and I'm going to bring that line from the edge there here, and that line will go up there. So that will give me an idea where I have to go with these shapes. At this point, we have a nice design, enough to start working. Now it's time to paint. We start painting now. Any colors you like. You can use the colors as they come here on the palette, or you can mix your own colors. We have some paddle pop sticks here, so when the time comes to paint, you pick up the paint with the paddle pop stick, because you are going to share this with other students. And here is your palette. You put it there. I'll do it another color because it's not very easy to see. White is against white. So there we have blue. You can see the blue there, and return the paddle pop stick to the same color where it was. And there you have your selection of colors for the meantime. Now I started painting blue, and I mixed a little bit of pink there to go in this area. And you see that I'm going over these bits of the railroad here. So I can't see the railroad, but I still got my reference drawing. So I'll be able to come back and paint the bits that I can't see there. We have an alternative here, which is a canvas, a small canvas. And I'll demonstrate how would children, very young children, will paint. So first of all, the paint is quite thick. It's not very runny, and there. And it's good to give them big containers like that. So each container will have a different color with a different paintbrush. So painting canvas, very young children will paint in a very broad way. They will move the paint. The paint is lovely, easy to move, and also it covers really well. So big area here, painting like that, pretending that this is a very young child painting. The paintbrush back to the color, a different color here. Broad paint brushes there, very broad paint strokes. So practically we have finished the big areas, and it's important to paint the big areas first, let it dry, and then the painting it will be really nice then to paint some details. For young children with very broad brushes, like that, thick brushes, broad brush strokes, and they will probably do, I think the railroad was here, here and there. So you see how lovely that looks. And we have white, because the railroad goes under that road, I remember, and comes up here. So it will change the color here. And there will be another bit of railroad coming this way and to the train station. That's the train station there. So with very young children, they can repeat and create some textures like that. There is also another way to create textures, which is using a bit of foam like this and probably applying paint with a paintbrush like this. This is for everybody. And then pressing down. Ooh, that's a lovely, lovely way of printing. Applying paint. This can be done in a different session when the paint is very dry. It's all explained in the art lessons in the website, the Brava Art website. So more, repeating the same, repeating one more time. And then there's another possibility, which is a cork, a bottle cork, in the same way, probably down here, there. Now if you want, I want to do a different color. I'll paint this color here, and it will go there, there. The white is wet, so it's lifting the white a bit. But it doesn't matter because it's making interesting patterns anyway. And that way. So the finishing points are done with paintbrush like this, big paintbrush. You can incorporate some outline if you like. If you don't have to do it if you don't feel like doing outline. You can use contrasting colors. Remember that contrasting colors are always means different. So I'm going to imagine there is another railroad there, working from the imagination here, there, the tracks, you see. Just using the imagination. And I'll print a bit more. I'll use the same foam, but on this side to print white. Paint the white here. Press down. Paint more white, press down. So that's how you create a beautiful painting based on these maps. So this has been our painting projects using city maps. There is a lovely painting that we did on camera. The lovely thing is that you can read it like this, you can have a look like this, or like that, or upside down, or on the other side. Any way you set up your painting, it will look wonderful. And I have here the canvas that we did. As I said, you could do it on paper or on canvas. You can paint on either surface. And again, if I put it like this, I can see a lovely mountain in blue with the railroad in black going through. But I can do that, and it will be a different images, or like that. It's a wonderful and fun painting project. Thank you very much for your attention, and check the video on YouTube and the art lesson at the Brava Art Press website. There is a lot more information there that your teacher, your mom or your dad can print and find what you need. Thank you for watching. See you next time.